The upcoming event in Zenless Zone Zero is giving out a freebie for everyone in the form of the new event engine called the Gilded Blossom. This is going to be an A rank attack engine. And of course, the question on everyone's mind is how good is it actually going to be? Well, today we're going to compare it to its biggest competitor, which is going to be the Starlight Engine. As a quick disclaimer, all the testing that I did was on the creator server, so technically speaking, there could be some changes, but I'm pretty sure that everything will still be the same for this engine once it comes out properly. First though, let's go over what exactly the Gilded Blossom is. As I mentioned, it is the event engine, which everyone will be able to obtain for free, and it is an A rank attacker engine specifically. Once you do increase it to level 60, it gives a base attack bonus of 594 points, and it also increases your attack by 25%. Now again, the way engine percentages work is that this attack percent that gets increased is your combination of your agent's innate attack from its levels, and then also the base attack from this engine itself. This does not include the attack from discs and whatnot. But then we move on to its effect, the extraordinary anti-theft measures, which is the quote-unquote combat effect. What this does is it increases your attack by 6% and also the damage dealt by EX special attacks by 15% at 1 star, that is. Once you upgrade it to 5 stars, which I'm pretty sure we will be able to do because I'm fairly certain that they'll give out 5 copies of this so that we can easily max it out, this becomes a 9.6% attack increase and a 24% increase to EX special attacks. Now you'll notice that unlike any of the other engines, there's no sort of requirement for this, like how, let's say, the Starlight Engine has that you have to dodge counter or quick assist. But these effects are still a quote-unquote combat effect, so these are effectively permanently active now, with no requirements whatsoever. And the attack increase is now on all of your stats essentially, so after taking into account any substats or main stats from your discs as well for your character. This can of course be confirmed by checking your stats in the menu once you are actually in combat. But again though, let's compare this to the Starlight Engine, which is currently the sort of go-to free-to-play option for attacking engines. At level 60, the Starlight Engine provides a 25% attack increase and also a 594 point base attack increase as well. It's essentially the exact same. The only difference comes in the form of its combat effect, which at 1 star is a 12% attack increase for 12 seconds after you do a dodge counter or a quick assist. This of course increases up to a maximum of 19.2% still for 12 seconds at 5 stars. Now the reason why Starlight Engine is considered a free-to-play option is because although it won't be as easy to max out as the event engine, which will probably just hand out 5 versions of it for free essentially, the Starlight Engine is not something that you really have to pay for by like getting it from the gacha system or relying on extreme luck, as you're actually able to buy Starlight Engine copies from the gadget shop. All it takes are 10 of the upgrade components that you normally use, as well as some of the little jigsaw puzzles that you can acquire from notorious hunts every week. So it is feasible to be able to get Starlight Engine at 5 stars or max refinement. The only issue I would say is that not everybody would maybe have gone out and done this yet, because it still takes some energy to go and use those components that you would use to buy the Starlight Engine, and also that's, you know, energy that could have gone to, say, farming other materials such as XP or discs or Denny's for those of you who are broke like me after reaching level 50 and try to promote all your characters. So naturally, I think it's easy to say that if you do not have a max refined Starlight Engine, then this Gilded Blossom event engine will probably be a lot better for you. But what about when you have both of them maxed out? Which one becomes better then? This is where things get a bit more interesting, as now it comes down to which has the better combat effect. Do you rather take a higher attack increase from Starlight Engine, although it only has a 12-second time limit as well as requiring a dodge counter or quick assist? Or do you take the permanent attack boost from the Gilded Blossom, even though it has a little bit less of an attack increase? But then you also wonder, how impactful is that 24% EX special damage increase? It's 24%, which sounds like quite a lot, doesn't it? Well, that's where we get to some testing. This is your warning right now, there's going to be some math and lots of numbers. But don't worry, I will explain everything and give you a TLDR essentially. So here I have a very simple spreadsheet, and we're going to use Soldier 11 as the sort of standard with maximum skill, so at essentially skill level 60. If she has a total base attack of 2,879, then with the Starlight Engine, taking the 19.2% attack increase gives her a total of 3,431, whereas with the event engine, she would have 3,155 attack. But then we also have to remember there is that 24% EX skill modifier. If we have a rotation of just an EX skill plus 1 full string of attacks, so 4 hits, and then an ultimate, taking the resulting attack stat and multiplying it by the modifier for each of the skills, we do see that in actual fact it's kind of similar. Although yes, technically speaking, the Starlight Engine does eke out over the event engine, it's by like a 3.7% difference. So yes, even though the event engine does have less attack, it is going to be a bit more reliant on making sure that you do use an EX skill as having it do 24% extra damage after, taking into account the already high skill multiplier on the EX skills normally is what keeps it competitive with Starlight Engine. Now again though, this is specifically with Soldier 11, and this could change depending on who your attacker is, as like I said, this relies on you using your EX skill and also having them all equally leveled. If for whatever reason your EX skill is like not a high level and your basic attacks are much higher as well as your ultimate, then yeah, you're probably better off sticking with Starlight Engine. But now of course you might be wondering, what about characters that don't really use their EX skill? Which I can't really think of many, but the best example I could think of would be Anton, who his attack doesn't really come off of his EX skill, it's more of his enhanced basic attacks in his EX burst mode. And while I did the same thing, if we assume Anton has level 12 max skilled and has the same attack stats, doing the same thing again and multiplying by his attack modifiers and including the 24% damage increase on his EX skill specifically, you'll notice that again there's not that much of a difference. Starlight Engine does still technically speaking beat it out, which I guess makes sense, considering that most of his attack is on his basics, so you're getting a 19.2% increase to those compared to what you would be getting from the Event Engine. But still, it's about like a 7.8% damage increase using Starlight Engine over the Event Engine, which, I mean, I guess maybe if you're like really trying to min-max your Shiyu defense and you're like a second off from getting an S rank, maybe Starlight Engine over the Event Engine would make a difference then, but otherwise for the most part it is pretty much negligible. I even included multiple attack strings here to try and like have Starlight Engine eke out a bit more, considering that's where the basic attacks would outshine in Starlight Engine compared to the Event Engine. And also a quick side note on why these numbers might seem a bit high, 378,000 and stuff like that. It's because this is just like pure damage if we're like assuming there's for whatever reason zero defense on the enemy. This is just purely from attack and the damage modifiers. And well, there you have it. Mathematically speaking, the Starlight Engine is technically speaking better than the Event Engine. But the other thing we have to address is the ease of use though. As mentioned, the Event Engine is a permanent increase, so you don't have to do anything. It's just always a 9.2% attack increase and a 24% EX skill increase, whereas the Starlight Engine requires either a counter attack from a dodge or a quick assist. And also it only lasts for 12 seconds. But in my opinion, this isn't really that much of a downside because it's very easy to trigger either of those two really. And 12 seconds is quite long. If you're doing damage to an enemy that is not stunned, more often than not they're going to be attacking at least once every 12 seconds, if not more often than that. So it's very easy to trigger a dodge counter off of that, to constantly be refreshing the Starlight Engine buff. And if you do stun the enemy, I feel like the meta right now is to almost always have a support in your team, whether that be Lucy, Sokaku, or Nicole, and then having them trigger the final chain attack to go into a quick assist, which would also give you the Starlight Engine buff, and 12 seconds should be long enough to last through the entire stun duration. I suppose the one caveat to this would be Ellen, as I know some people don't like using Sokaku's chain attack because of how long it takes. And again, if we compare Ellen's skills and stuff like that to the Starlight Engine versus Event Engine, technically speaking the Starlight Engine is better, but if it really is that much of an issue, maybe the Event Engine could be a good option for Ellen then, if you really don't want to use Sokaku's long flag animation. Otherwise though, again, at the end of the day, I am not your father, I can't tell you what to do. I mean, screw it, if you want to, just throw on a 6-shooter or something on your attacker. But I would say for the most part though, if you do not have a maxed out Starlight Engine, which I assume is most people, the Event Engine is probably going to be your go-to option, as it is going to be very easy to acquire and get to max refinement, much easier than the Starlight Engine at least. But if you do happen to have a maxed out Starlight Engine, then I would probably be using that, as the requirements to trigger its attack bonus isn't really that difficult. Otherwise though, that is going to be it for today's video. As always, liking, commenting, and subscribing would be greatly appreciated. So until next time, bye bye.